Hello, listeners. This is Jesse.
And this is Greg.
And you're listening to Spoilers Are Good Actually, a podcast where we revisit some of our old favorite shows and talk about how knowing the ending affects our experience the second time through.
Today we're watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, Book 1, Chapter 9, The Waterbending Scroll. The way this podcast will work is we start with a spoiler-free section, and then we move on to a spoiler section. We do recommend that you actually stay for that if you haven't watched the series before. If you haven't and you care about spoilers, it is called Spoilers Are Good Actually. We do want you to come to enjoy spoilers, but if you're not there yet, you're not there yet. We're not going to push you.
And one quick content note, Avatar: The Last Airbender is a kid's show, but this is not a kid's podcast. We won't be going into any darker or more mature themes than the show itself does, but we will be using adult language, so listener be warned.
Nice. Now, I love pirates. I really like pirates in concept. These pirates are pretty cool. I really like the Waterbending Scroll as an episode. This is one of my favorites.
It's
in
a good
season
one.
1. So
I agree, but because I love Katara.
This is a Katara episode.
It really is.
This is one of the few episodes where we see some of the flaws in the way Katara does things. I know you've got feelings and you're going to defend her, but I'm going to say Katara wasn't the best person at this point during this episode.
No, she's perfect. I don't know what you're talking about. She's never done anything wrong in her life.
Never. Okay. Well, I mean, how do you feel about this episode? You really?
Oh, I like it.
Okay.
It's fun. It's a good time. I don't know. I guess what you see as flaws, I just see her, expressing herself.
I mean, fair enough. I think that they're all good aspects of her character, but I do think that there are less positive aspects.
Fair enough.
Okay, we're going to move on to the 10-word summary.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and go first.
Mm-hmm.
My 10-word summary is Katara shoplifts, Aang is a prodigy, Zuko writes a proverb.
My summary is Katara gets jealous of Aang's waterbending and then pirates attack. That's all that happens, right?
Rude.
What? Tell me where the lie is.
Boiling it down to her just being jealous.
I mean, there's a lot in there, but that is the core of it. Do you want to start off right from there, from the tension that we get between Aang and Katara regarding the waterbending?
I mean, that's early episode. That fuels most of what goes on.
Mm-hmm.
It gets the plot rolling.
Yeah. So, the biggest thing is that, this is the first time we see Aang's waterbending and Katara's waterbending side by side, really. And the fact is, Aang is a genius and also the chosen one.
Yeah, he's literally the Avatar. Of course he's going to be good at bending. Of course it's going to come relatively easy to him. Right. Not to mention, I think there's probably some core aspects to all bending that can transfer in between the different elements Makes sense. He has going for him.
Right, if I'm a master at karate and you have never done any martial arts in your life, and then we're gonna both learn jujitsu, then I'm probably gonna pick up jujitsu faster than you, at least at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
It just makes sense. So
that doesn't make it less annoying.
I mean, that's true, and I think that's a big thing. That's an important thing. We've seen it established already. This is a big part of Katara's identity, her waterbending. Her ability to waterbend is kind of her connection to her mother and to her culture, and it is who she is. And so seeing this punk kid, because that's what Aang really is, he's just a punk kid, picking up on it faster than she did immediately. She's been working on it for months. She worked on one move for months, right? And then she was saying she hasn't fully figured out another one, and Aang got both of them immediately. And he's just casually doing it. It's grating. It's very irritating, and it would rightfully piss anyone off.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's a perfect example of what annoys me most about their relationship in general, which is just Katara having to always be the one looking after Aang and taking care of Aang, worrying about his feelings and putting, his needs over her own, and Aang giving absolutely none of that back.
Right.
And, I don't know. When I was, scoffing at it while we were watching the episode, you reminded me, yeah, he's a kid. He's 12. But, Katara's only 14.
Yeah.
She is also still a kid, but she is being forced into this parental role, which is what it is when you are, like, sacrificing yourself and your needs and your emotions to take care of someone.
Right. It would have been nice to have a quick moment where, I don't know, Sokka says, hey, Aang, can you chill out just a little bit on that? Just, this is also very important to Katara. You should probably try to avoid,
Like, just don't be such an ass about it. You don't need to flaunt it and do a bunch of little tricks. And just, like, keep in mind that this is, like, really hard for her to see.
Right. And
be sensitive.
Right. I don't think he was being an ass about it, though. I think he was...
That's fair.
He was very innocent. This is the thing. He was oblivious to the problems that it was causing. And that's another issue in and of itself, right? That he didn't recognize that this is bothering Katara. And he really should have at least had the awareness to know that this might actually be hard for her to kind of process.
Yeah. And again, like, developmentally, maybe not. Maybe that's not a realistic expectation for him. But neither is Katara just being the bigger person and keeping it to herself and not getting upset.
I mean, fair enough. I also think that we can't excuse her blowing up at Aang like that. It's not okay for you to yell at him and say, would you shut your air hole? Sometimes you being a little genius gets a little tiring sometimes. Why don't we all just give up since you're so naturally gifted? She was wrong to do that. She should not have done that. No matter, like, even considering how frustrated she was and she was rightfully upset, that was not an okay way to process it.
I don't know.
I think it's not okay. And I think that, at the very least for that action, they were right to have her, to, like, call her out on it and say, hey, that part's not okay. That said, we could have done more to be more fair to her. We could have done more to talk to Aang, first of all. But, that's just how I feel about the whole thing.
Yeah. I guess the biggest thing for me is just that it's on both of them. And they're the two of them having a conflict, and it ends with Katara apologizing and Aang not acknowledging anything, which is just frustrating to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that we definitely need to do more for kind of making it more fair to both sides. We need to acknowledge that Katara has legitimate frustrated feelings about Aang, again, just flaunting his abilities over this thing that she cares very deeply about. So yeah,
like you mentioned before, waterbending is such, like, a core part of her identity and how it connects her to her family and her culture and her home, which is a good segue into talking about them finding the waterbending scroll, I think.
Oh, yeah. Because that's what motivated her. That's what got her to do the robbing from the pirates thing.
Yeah, my note for that scene is just, nobody tell Katara about the Met.
I don't get it. I'm sorry.
The Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's fucking stolen.
Right.
Like, most big museums, everything is stolen. But, like, man, I would... somebody give me that modern AU.
There was...
Where Katara just goes Carmen Sandiego and steals back all of these cultural artifacts and then takes them home. I would love that.
Who was the comedian that made the... It was a very funny bit about... I think it was a British museum. He was in Taskmaster. He was...
James Acaster?
Yes, James Acaster had a great bit where he was talking about, like, they just robbed stuff. People were like, hey, wait, that's my stuff. I want it back. No. Are you using it? No. But you can look at it. You have to pay money to look at it.
Oh my god.
I cannot deliver it in the way that James Acaster can, but the general gist of it is that museums are hilariously stupid because you stole shit from other cultures. And we're not giving them back. We're just looking at them for historical significance.
Yeah, so Katara is rightfully real upset when she realizes
that they robbed a waterbender of this extremely rare scroll. Yeah.
Yep. And what they don't directly address, but is pretty easily inferred, is how they got the scroll, which almost certainly involves a lot of murder. Mm-hmm. It was probably taken during one of the raids that, like, killed her family.
Maybe?
I guess it doesn't say whether it's a southern or northern waterbending scroll.
Yeah.
But to me, that's just the most obvious place for something like that to get stolen.
I also like how the episode never goes... I mean, at the end, they do say stealing is wrong, but, like, then she goes, except from pirates. I feel like at no point does anybody in the entire team hold the position that stealing is always wrong. They're always, like, even when Sokka found out that Katara stole the waterbending scroll, he was mainly upset that he put them in danger by stealing a scroll from people that would kill them for it back. He was not upset that she stole it.
I mean, yeah.
And I love that. I love it when we're just like, sure, it's a kid's show, but, like, sometimes things that are typically morally dubious are okay if they're used against the right people in the right ways, right? Like, these guys, somebody should have robbed them a while ago. So I think everyone could use a good robbing. And then we have Iroh and Zuko also meeting these pirates.
Mm-hmm. Real fun.
So Iroh's like, yeah, my pie show tile's missing, so we're gonna have to go to the nearest shop and replace it. Zuko's rightfully pissed, honestly. I'm trying to win back my father's love, and you're out here playing board games.
Yeah.
I can't believe you. And so but he goes along with it because that's what happens. And then it was fun, a reversal of the normal roles, where typically the grumpy one between the two of us is you, and I'm the goofier one. And so usually we, like, relate. I relate more to Iroh, and you relate more to Zuko in most scenes. Yeah. But then when they were shopping, Iroh's like, only thing better than finding something you're looking for is finding something you weren't looking for at a great bargain. And
Yeah.
Zuko's so mad, and it just reminded me of times when you're like, this thing was on sale, and I'm like, but we're still spending money. Why are we doing this?
But the giant concrete bird was only $8.
I mean, I did approve of the Anyway.
But shopping Iroh is very relatable. Mm-hmm. I love a good sale.
Gets himself that monkey, which made us think about, like, an Indiana Jones episode or something.
Yeah, I've never actually seen Indiana Jones
episode. It's a movie,
but one of the movies has a big plot about a cursed statue. Mm-hmm. I did a lot of Googling after this episode because just for some reason this monkey felt very important to me. Mm-hmm. They spent a moment on it mostly as a joke. Yeah. Just that it's creepy.
It felt like a reference or a call out.
Memorable. It's like this comes up later, or this is a reference to something specific, like what is happening. Doesn't seem to be it. Mm-hmm. Best I could find was in the beginning of Aladdin, there's like a monkey statue holding a giant ruby.
Okay, yeah. It does look like it it looks like it came out of Aladdin also. Like it could fit in like, I feel like that thing is the MacGuffin in a different story. So, Katara steals the waterbending scroll from the pirates. Pirates get pissy. They say shit out loud and Zuko hears about it, and he's like, Monk, there's only, like, one of those in the world. Where is he?
Yeah, they have a pretty distinct physical description, because none of them wear clothes to blend in. They're just like, nobody will suspect I'm the Avatar, wearing orange, when
Blue
literally
tattoos.
Nobody else wears orange.
Nobody has those arrow tattoos in the world.
True.
We don't see anybody else with tattoos like Aang's, and nobody questions it, and it's amazing. And And Zuko's like, yeah, where are they? And so he teams up with the pirates. And then over on the Avatar side, we've got Katara just working with the water whip. I think this is around the time. This is the time when she like blows up at Aang.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she sneaks out late at night with the Waterbending Scroll to practice.
You know, some fun scenes. Zuko tying her to a tree. I'll save you from the pirates. A very iconic moment. I won't say too much about it here in the non-spoiler section. Just, you know, it's a good time. It's fun. It makes me giggle. Again, I don't ship season 1 Zutara, but I can still enjoy a good interaction.
Zuko looked gross at several points in this episode.
They did. I've always said that, especially in season 1, they cannot decide how old they want Zuko to look. Sometimes he looks like he's almost the same age as Aang. Sometimes he looks like a 30-year-old man.
Yes. The most egregious one was when he was like holding up the necklace around Katara's like neck, and he was like whispering in her ear.
And we've got just like a full profile view of him, and it just gives him like the nastiest, creepiest face.
Yeah, it's. I think it helps though. It emphasizes how very creeped out and grossed out by Zuko Katara is in that moment. You know, it does emphasize how she feels by what's happening, but it does just like it seems weirdly gross even for Zuko. Oh, I also wanted to talk about how apparently every pirate just carries smoke bombs on them like ninjas. It was great. The scene where they're getting ready to fight each other, like I think the pirates just like form up around like Aang and Sokka, who are captured, and they all raise a little smoke bomb at the same time
simultaneously
and drop it. And and I'm just like, do they just get equipped with these?
It is so goofy. But
I love it. It's so good. And it's a fun little fight scene. It's a fun way to not have to animate a whole battle, right?
That's true, because there were a lot of players there.
Yeah, they just
it would have been like solidly a dozen or more people fighting.
They just did the Looney Tunes thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
And it was very funny.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
It worked, and I didn't really think too much about it. But they probably did it mainly to avoid having to animate the fight.
I mean, good. Spend your budget elsewhere. Like,
it wasn't that important.
That fight wasn't that important. It was just goofy.
And then we see Aang and Katara. Aang and Katara develop multiple waterbending techniques throughout this episode. Aang uses the bison whistle, which he bought for one copper piece. It was just the bison whistle was interesting because we were talking about like who needs a bison whistle, right? Like if this thing works for Sky Bison, who needs one in this world? Yeah,
but also at the same time, it's over 100 years old. So like just on that ground alone, it should probably be more valuable than one copper piece.
Alternatively, it could be just made recently, but using the exact same techniques or whatever that the air nomads did to make sure that it works. Whatever it is, like that's theoretically possible. It could be a replica, but like if
people could find it like funny.
Yeah, like if that's the case, then I'd expect there was like some kind of specialist that really knows about air nomad culture or something that did it.
God,
right?
Much to think about.
Right. Either way, it's amazing that it was only one copper piece. Wow. I would a working Sky Bison whistle.
He actually haggled that time. Maybe it worked.
I mean, they were in like the pirate trade hub. The pirates are like, can't fucking sell this to anybody. God, I don't care. Of course, they didn't buy it from the pirates, but whoever else.
Or if it was the mysterious like air nomad culture expert, he was like, "Wow, you were really dedicated to learning about air nomads. I'll sell it to you for one copper piece."
I would have loved to see that little interaction.
Yeah, I mean,
we made that entire
it's a complete headcanon. There is nothing supporting this theory whatsoever, but it's cute.
Yeah, it would have been fun. But yeah.
But you mentioned Aang and Katara developing the different waterbending moves with the whip and the push and pull, and similarly
the cool
to
whirlpool thing. Push and pull.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the same thing. I'm dumb. Keep going.
Similarly to the bison whistle, these are things that are introduced early on and then all come into play in the final scene, which is, I don't know, it's always nice when it's, like, clean like that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a little, like, I don't know, ham-fisted.
Right.
A little obvious, but still fun to have things kind of have a through line throughout the episode.
Right. And, it's not... Sure, these techniques were kind of introduced right now, but the general gist of them, the concept of them, was not. Katara's been working on her waterbending constantly. Like, I remember she was in the Warriors of Kyoshi. She was practicing in a little bowl of water, right? She has clearly been practicing her waterbending for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
So, sure, she's only showing, yes, the show only brought in the specific techniques that are going to be useful for the plot at the end now, but I like that, we laid those seeds before now. Mm-hmm. It matters, and it helped. It's cool.
And also in regards to Katara's bending, I really enjoy how throughout the series so far, there's a clear pattern of Katara having trouble when she is, trying really hard to bend or do something specific or, follow a movement, do a specific move. But then when she's in battle, her instincts are really good, and she pulls stuff off that I don't think she ever could with her and Aang just, standing there practicing.
Yeah.
So a lot of it, in my opinion, is just her overthinking it, and the more that she learns to rely on herself and be confident and just go along with those instincts, go with the flow, like water. Sorry, that was not...
All right, the podcast is over now. Goodbye.
Don't leave.
Bye.
That wasn't that bad of a joke. It was barely even a joke. All right, fine. Greg's gone. This is now the Katara podcast. We will not say bad about Katara ever for the rest of time.
I'm back.
God damn it. Anyway, I love seeing Katara thrive when she is working off of, instinct and intuition. Because we see in the, first or second episode when they're on the ship, she tries to freeze some guys, accidentally goes backwards, and then has to be creative and turns around to freeze them backwards. She has a couple moments of just, throwing some water over the side of the ship or, through a window. Or, these casual, just, tossing water moves. Which, of course they're not as precise as a lot of these things she's trying to learn. But, she can do it when she's not really overthinking it.
Yeah, the first time she ever succeeds at doing the water whip is in the middle of combat. Because, she got captured while she was practicing it, and she hadn't gotten it by then.
Yep.
She's good in a pinch. She is clutch.
That's why she's the best.
Meanwhile, Sokka just... Oh, man. Poor Sokka.
He really gets beat up this episode.
Oh, man. What? I'm not good enough to kidnap? Gets kidnapped. After he got beat up just in their little circle thing. And then when they're on the boat, he literally... There's two guys on him, and he's literally like, hey, guys, can you help me out? And the next time we see him, which is half a scene later, one of them throws his full body at the sail.
He's holding him up, two
over
hands,
his head.
Straight over his head and just right into the sail.
Yeah.
This is not Sokka's best day.
It's not. It's okay. Sokka...
But it was very funny.
It was very funny.
So actually, that might be a good time to transition into the golden fuck.
Introducing the one, the only, the golden fuck! Okay, yeah, that's a golden fuck right there.
Yeah, so for those of you new to the podcast, the golden fuck is a segment that we do every episode that is based on the idea that per movie ratings, in order to stay PG-13, you have to, of course, limit your language and cursing, but you're allowed to say fuck exactly once. So what we do is we decide if we were to give one single fuck to the episode, who would be able to say it, when, and why. Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's pretty funny. I have a lot of suggestions, honestly, because there was like 20 in this episode. I have 4 written down. So I want to let you go first in case there's overlap.
Yeah, okay. I'll start. I have a few, not a whole lot. So there's one where... First of all, let's start off with the one we were just talking about. Where Sokka's being thrown overhead into the sail, and I think just like, right... Ground. Fuck. Or like, you know...
Yeah?
Like... Simple, funny, because it was a funny, like, almost background moment. Next, we've got the part where they, like... You know, Katara's like, hey, can we leave? And they, like, get off the pirate ship. And they leave. And then they're like, hey, you! And Aang's like, oh, well, look who's come to his senses. And then all of the pirates come out. I think that's where the commercial break is, like, planned. But I think when we see them, one of them's gotta say fuck. Probably Sokka, right?
I mean, I think it would be funnier if Katara said it there. Because she knows.
Right, she does know. I feel, yeah, maybe. I think, one of them's got to say it. We had to decide who. I'll give it to Katara.
Yeah, Sokka's got a lot of options this episode.
And I don't even know if it's going to be, I don't know if it's fuck exactly, but it's close enough that I'm going to nominate it. When they're doing the negotiations and, Zuko has the 200 gold waterbending scroll, but the pirates have both Sokka and Aang, and and Sokka's like, wait, you're gonna trade the Avatar for a Water Tribe scroll? Also, very good move on Sokka's part, showing his like cleverness. But you know, Aang's like, you should really shut your mouth. But more importantly, Zuko says, shut your filthy mouth, you Water Tribe peasant. And I feel like he really wanted to say a slur somewhere in there. And it's not quite the same. I don't know if we can say, like, maybe shut your fucking mouth.
Yeah.
But, like, I think that I feel like the emotion and the impact was enough for me to nominate that one.
Yeah, the energy is there.
The energy of, the fuck energy is there. And I would like to nominate that one as well.
Yeah, which, side note, I just want to say thank you to the creators of Avatar for not inventing a fantasy slur for waterbenders. It would have been so easy, and they didn't do it, and it wasn't necessary, and it's so much better without it.
Yeah.
That's all. Okay, so somehow, in 7 nominations, there are no overlaps.
Oh, nice.
My first one is, early in the episode, Sokka gets hit by the wave. Just knocked off. When all their supplies go away and he falls into the water.
Yeah.
There's actually a moment right before he gets hit where he says, like, oh no, or something like that.
Oh, fuck.
A good place for a fuck.
Yeah.
Secondly, when he gets yoinked out of the camp, like, it's before he complains about not being captured and gets into the net.
When he's getting woken up?
Yeah, they throw a rope and it's around his leg.
Yeah.
And he just gets yoinked is the best word. They pull him real quick right off the screen, and I think a fuck would be hilarious there. Third is during the smoke bomb fight. The moment when Aang and Sokka are looking for each other, and Aang goes like, I'm right here, and he clears all the smoke, and then there's like 7 pirate dudes staring at him, and then he immediately pulls the smoke back. It would be very funny if he said fuck there. And then finally, to go with our little bit that we have going for Zuko, I think that he could replace one of his lines in this episode with, I don't have any time for your fucking proverbs, uncle.
Oh, also, this is another silver fuck episode. The Cabbage Merchant is in this episode.
Yeah, he is.
So, you know, formally, Cabbage Merchant gets the silver fuck. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's always justified, but it's never the best one.
Okay.
Ooh, so we have much to consider.
I don't know how to narrow these down. First of all.
Okay, so I think we might need to do another poll. But we need to narrow it down to maybe like 2 to 4.
Okay.
If we could narrow it down to 2, that would be best. Mm-hmm. I think my favorite of the ones that I suggested is the smoke. And behind that, the yoink. And of yours, my favorite is when Sokka gets thrown into the sail.
No, I think that one's it too for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think I like the sail more than when he gets yoinked away from the camp. Mm-hmm. So the top 2 nominations are Aang clearing away the smoke and seeing that he's surrounded by pirates, and Sokka getting thrown into the sail of the boat.
I want a Zuko one in there. I like both of the Zuko ones. Mm-hmm. But I think I like the continuing to say fuck to Iroh Zuko.
Okay, so no time for your fucking proverbs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I will put up another poll on our Twitter. You can find us at Spoilers Are Good. It should be linked both in the description of this episode and in the description of the podcast. We would love it if you would follow us there, because we occasionally do have polls like this. And we talk about the episodes, give little previews. But mostly, we just want your opinion on which of these instances you think would be the best place to add fuck.
Okay.
I guess that means it's time to transition into the spoiler section. So they found a lot of good stuff while shopping in this episode.
And almost everything comes back at some point later. I love it. It was really cool. We got...
Yeah, even that little monkey statue shows up in a later episode. Pretty sure Iroh bought it. I found that out in my research.
Huh. I did not... I feel like I knew that somewhere in the back of my head, but I couldn't have told you that.
I'll probably fact check it again before this episode goes up, but I was just Googling this, and I thought it was fun. There was...
Yeah, but they had the monkey statue, the Sungi horn.
Obviously the bison whistle.
The bison whistle, right. And the lotus tile, obviously.
Yes, the most important of these items, the lotus tile.
Yeah, hold on. Let's get to the lotus tile last.
Okay.
Let's talk about the other things. Sungi horn is very important because it's the thing that Iroh brings out whenever he's, playing music with the crew. And there's a big little mini plot in here about Zuko learning to, work with his crew. I believe Iroh pulls out the Sungi horn. Is it during the storm or something? Like, it's one of those episodes where Iroh is with the crew and he's bonding with the crew. And then, after that, Zuko has an interaction and they're all pissy or whatever. Because Iroh loves, their music night with his crew.
And then it's something that, Zuko remembers when they're separated.
Yeah.
And he kind of is really annoyed by it at the time, but in hindsight is like, wow, I should have really cherished those moments.
Yeah.
So, Sungi horn not super plot important, but a fun character preview.
Yeah, it's really nice that we get to keep seeing this side of Iroh that's a music lover, very genuinely. And apparently he's at least a passable Sungi horn player. Mm-hmm. Then we've got the bison whistle, which is just our emergency button in multiple places. And also, just ooh, it hurts when you see him, when Aang uses the bison whistle, and we see the episode from Appa's point of view where he hears the bison whistle and he really wants to go.
I don't want to think about Appa's lost days.
That's going to be so rough. Season 2 is going to hurt.
Yeah.
Wow. But
my God.
Yeah, and... Best 1 copper ever spent, period.
Truly.
That thing saved their life not even 24 hours later.
Yeah?
Yeah. Amazing. The bison whistle, it was also a good place for them to pull it in because they knew early on that they were going to need this item to exist, and they had to find a place to kind of make them have it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would have just accepted it if Aang just had one from the start.
Right? That's true.
But this was fun.
Yeah. Maybe...
But it made for a more satisfying arc in the episode to introduce it and then have it come back at the end. Like we were saying with the waterbending moves, too.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then the Lotus Tile. I love, like, because, you know, when you first watch it, you're like, what the fuck, Iroh? We can't... This thing is not important. I can't believe you're making Zuko leave for this. And then you watch it and you know that Iroh is a Grand Lotus and the Lotus House, how he communicates with secret members of the Order of the White Lotus. And then you realize this thing actually is that important. It very genuinely is important enough for them to stop their search for the Avatar and immediately go find a replacement. Now, Iroh's kind of a goofball because it was apparently in his sleeve the whole time.
Yeah.
But...
I mean, one, I am inclined to believe that he knew it was in his sleeve the whole time and wanted to, like, distract Zuko and go shopping and just, like, get his mind off of his mission.
I could also believe that he didn't find it to purchase it, but he met with somebody secretly and, like, got a replacement that way.
That's true. That could also explain the whole "it was in my sleeve."
Yeah.
Or... he could have genuinely lost it in his sleeve. All are believable. But this episode, and specifically the subplot with the Lotus Tile, is a perfect example of this show being vastly improved by spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
And vastly improved in later watch-throughs. Because, you know, like we mentioned, it's just kind of a funny bit the first time through, and it doesn't make sense, and you're like, haha, Iroh is just such a goofy old man. But, like... when you know the entire lore of the White Lotus and how in-depth it goes and, like, everything that means about Iroh's character, everything it means about the world building, and it's just a perfect little hidden introduction of this thing, and it's a microcosm of that kind of secret hidden plot, because in this episode, we think Iroh's just being... kind of like a dumb old man, but he's actually got a whole, like, huge underground secret reason for doing what he does.
Yeah.
And that is a big, like, description of his character in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It really puts Iroh's actions in a very different light. As much as they piss Zuko off, Zuko's just not ready for that secret knowledge yet.
Nope.
Speaking of which, we've got a few moments with Zuko.
Yeah.
And, you know, Zuko's biggest things were his interactions with the pirates and his interactions with Katara, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, the pirates are going to come back later, and they're going to try to murder Zuko because, I mean, first of all, Zhao probably pays well.
Yeah.
But also because they don't like Zuko. No. This entire little episode fosters some animosity that ends up very seriously harming and very nearly killing Zuko. You know, they get into a fight over the Avatar, and they don't get their Waterbending Scroll back either, so they're out both that 200 gold, that ship, which was wrecked down the waterfall, and their lead on the Avatar, so...
Yeah, I mean, this episode truly, on first watch, feels almost like filler, and there's not the main plot happening, but it introduces so much that is so important.
I don't know. I feel like it does feel a little bit like a regular episode. Like, basically, any episode where Zuko faces off against the Aang crew, the gang, makes me think it's probably not filler.
I mean, fair.
But
just filler in the fact that it isn't advancing the main plot.
And fair enough, yeah. Like, they're not, you know, they're I guess they're on their way to the Water Tribe.
Yeah.
But Northern Water Tribe, but
it feels kind of like a pit stop.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's actually really important for the, like, half a dozen reasons that we have explained so far.
It is a hell of a pit stop, for sure. But yeah, and then...
Yeah, it's honestly not Zuko's best episode. He's extra dickish.
Just a little meaner and a little grosser than usual, but, you know, he does pay for it later.
Yeah. I do think specifically the bit where he's being, like, creepy whispering in her ear is out of character. Just more so in the sense that they're still building his character right now, and that stands out as not actually like him. Even this version of him that is, you know, all bark, no bite, just completely trying to be angry and intimidating and putting on this persona. There's just something, like, weird and creepy and, like, stay out of my personal space about that moment. And it just doesn't really fit in the puzzle that is Zuko. Yeah. But the rest of it, where he's, like, about to burn up the scroll, taunting her with a necklace in general, all of it is very, funny to watch, in my opinion, knowing what we know about Zuko and knowing that this is not his, like, genuine self or genuine personality at all.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the Zutara moments are... They're different here because of the fact that, like, Zuko is not... Season 1 Zuko is a very different Zuko from the Zuko that we usually ship for Zutara.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge episode for the fandom. As I have said before, I don't ship them in Season 1. But, like, it's still fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to think about them looking back on this moment. Right?
Oh, man, yeah. Remember that time when you, like, tied me to a tree and you... For the record, it didn't work. I was not impressed or scared. I was mainly just creeped out. So like, yeah, I'm actually kind of ashamed of that. I didn't. Please, can we please just not talk about that again?
But yeah, no, for me, what I like about them is more than just their personalities being, like, compatible. It's more of all the things that they go through together and the way that their characters develop simultaneously and grow closer, and they, like, inform each other's choices and are so, like, just interconnected, and they become this incredible team of mutual, like, respect and adoration, frankly. So yeah, this for me doesn't do it, but it's still fun in that sense as a Zutara fan.
And then we have Katara, who... So, I love I love seeing Katara, like, this early on. Not just with her interactions with Zuko, just all of her interactions with everybody. She kind of...
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like, she knows how to stand her ground, and she's very determined to get better. She is weak. Like, I don't think she's pretty weak overall right now, especially when you know how strong she gets later on.
Yeah.
And we see that right now, her starting stats are just bad compared to Aang's. That's all. She
her
has
starting stats.
She has low starting
that's a good
stats.
way to look at it.
But then she levels up very quickly. She has a special ability that's like when waterbending, you get double experience.
Oh my god.
I want to say it's less, and I think this show also makes this clear when we get to the Northern Water Tribe. It's less her being like a prodigy in the same sense that Aang and Azula are, and more the fact that she is fucking dedicated. She will work harder and longer than every single other person. What's up?
This is just another reason why I think Zuko and Katara are more matched as a couple. Sorry.
Jessie was just looking at me like she had something to say while I was in the middle of talking about that. But yeah, no, like that, that makes sense.
So that's also a big part of Zuko's character and his relationship to bending, is he didn't even start bending until he was older, is a huge thing for him. Like,
Right.
Azula is a couple years younger, and I'm pretty sure she started bending before he did.
Yeah, that was kind of the context for the whole "she was born lucky, you were lucky to be born."
Yes.
Fucking Ozai wanted to actually kill him get rid of him. Heavily implied to be killed him if it wasn't explicitly said. This is in the comics, I'm pretty sure. The flashback I'm thinking about happened during the search.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, Zuko did not exhibit firebending ability until a bit later, and Ozai was not about to have a child who, who couldn't bend.
Yeah.
I'm not about to have a non-bender child, like heir. That's not happening. I'm getting rid of this thing.
Yeah. My main point was just that both of them have had to struggle and work really hard, and they are the level of mastery at bending that they are because of their determination and not because of any kind of natural talent or gift.
Yeah. It's, and we see glimpses of that even here. Katara will sneak out at night to practice his waterbending scroll to make sure she gets it right. She wants this waterbending scroll first, right? She has I'm thinking about this mainly in the way I think about this is with sports anime, basically, where they describe it a lot as a kind of greed, where it's I have a hunger or a greed, I have a need to practice, I have a need to be that person. That's I've been watching Ace of the Diamond, which is it's kind of old at this point, but it's a baseball anime, and the main character is a pitcher. You can only have one pitcher on the field at once. Every pitcher wants to be the only pitcher ever on the field at a time, and so it's a kind of greed. You can't have this position. You can't be the best. Katara's basically kind of in that way. If there's only one opportunity to learn how to waterbend, I have to have it. I need it. I need this. This is important for me. This is big, and
Yeah. I think hunger is a really good word for it. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of selfish impulse to be the one to use the scroll, but in general, I think she's more than that's why she's doing it at night.
Yeah.
Right? And not just taking it from Aang the whole time.
Right. She's willing to share if she can, but and I don't begrudge her of this, but I'm sure she resents having to share at all.
Oh, 100%.
Right? So, and this is something that I honestly think is admirable, as even though some of the words that I'm using have more negative connotations. Mm-hmm. I think that this is a good thing to have about a thing that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
To really care about it in this way. And so, I love seeing little glimpses of that here, and then seeing it kind of bloom and make her so much stronger at the end of season 1.
Yeah.
And then just moving on beyond that. But the big jump in powers, obviously, when she gets an actual master to teach her.
Yeah, shocker.
Having a good teacher will make you really good at a thing.
It's just you can watch as many YouTube videos as you want on something and practice, but there is nothing like having somebody there to give you those small corrections as you go, mm-hmm. and give you feedback and give you advice on the little tips and tricks that they have on how to do a thing that you can only get from that person-to-person interaction. There is nothing like having a good teacher.
Right. So yeah, man, I love this episode. Love it even more after spoilers. It's just a very good episode.
Yeah. Without spoilers, first time through, it's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And it's a good time. But with spoilers, there's so many little things that are going to come up again. The things that are being started and the plot lines that are being ignited in this episode. There's just so much, and it's so good. So that's all we have today for Book 1, Chapter 9, The Waterbending Scroll. We hope you'll join us next time when we discuss Book 1, Chapter 10, Jet.
Oh, fuck. Jet, oh no.
Oh, boy. Until then, please follow us on Twitter @SpoilersAreGood. We really look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. And as always, just because it's spoiled doesn't mean it's rotten. Bye.
Bye.
I think I have finished all of my notes. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
No, just stan Katara. Forever and always.
Forever and always. Sometimes she's wrong, Jesse.
No.
Okay, well.
Literally no.
And with
Literally never.
And with that, we will end the podcast.